The lobotomy. Many people have heard of it. It's an internet meme, but it seems that most people forget that these actually existed and were even popular at one point. Lobotomies were once hailed as a miraculous cure for mental illness, but besides this promise lay a tale of suffering, misunderstanding, and ethical transgressions. But what exactly is a lobotomy, and how did it become a mainstream medical practice? The lobotomy was first developed in the 1930s by Portuguese neurologist Dr. Egas Moniz. Inspired by the work on primates, Moniz hypothesized that severing connections in the brain's prefrontal cortex could alleviate symptoms of mental illness. In 1935, he performed the first human lobotomy, and a year later, he received the Nobel Prize in Physiology of Medicine for his groundbreaking, albeit controversial work. The lobotomy involved inserting a sharp instrument into the brain, usually through the eye socket or skull, and severing connections in the prefrontal cortex. Initially, it was seen as a miracle cure for conditions like schizophrenia, depression, and anxiety. Imagine having depression and the recommendation is having an ice pick shoved into your brain. The reality of this was often devastating. Patients frequently experienced severe side effects, personality changes, loss of cognitive function, and in many cases, a zombified state. The procedure gained popularity in the United States thanks to Dr. Walter Freeman and his colleague Dr. James W. Watts. Freeman, in particular, was a passionate advocate, performing thousands of lobotomies across the country. He even developed the transorbital lobotomy, often referred to as the icepick method, which could be done quickly and without the need for a surgical theater. In fact, Dr. Freeman would perform these lobotomies so often that he would travel around the country in a specialized car known as the lobotomobile, performing them anywhere he went. He would typically complete the lobotomy in a matter of minutes and do this in extremely unsanitary environments, resulting in an increased risk of complications. To make matters worse, the lobotomies he performed had a mortality rate of 14%, meaning over 1 in 10 people would die from this. To give a little perspective on this number, the highest mortality rate of any current surgery is that of the laparotomy, where roughly 2 out of 10 patients will die. And most of the time, these patients have extreme issues, whereas with the lobotomy, most patients are not at immediate risk for death. Dr. Walter Freeman also made a habit out of taking photos of patients before their lobotomy and after. In the photo you see here, you can see a female with catatonic schizophrenia before and after her treatment. You may notice from a lot of these photos that these patients actually do appear to have improvement in their ailments. And the reason for this is Dr. Freeman would only take photos of patients that exhibited these results. Age was also no barrier for the lobotomy, as seen in this photo of a young boy who also had the misfortune of receiving a lobotomy. As the negative effects of lobotomies became more apparent, the medical community and the public began to turn against the practice. High-profile failures and the advent of antipsychotic medications in the 1950s provided alternatives that rendered lobotomies obsolete. Ethical concerns also mounted, highlighting the lack of patient consent and the irreversible damage inflicted on countless individuals. The final lobotomy was performed in 1967 and resulted in a death. Since that point, the lobotomy is no longer practiced, though it's insane to me that this was even a proposed solution in the 20th century. What do you guys think?